This is Jenkins Farms.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ryan Jenkins again with Jenkins Farms. We're continuing our Careers in Ag series, and today we're with William Wendt at Wendt Farm and Nursery here in the beautiful, I guess you call this Allentown, Florida, between Allentown,
they call it Jay.
Chumuckla, Jay, northern Santa Rosa County. How's that? But William, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do. Obviously, we're standing in front of a nursery full of what?
Easter lilies.
Easter lilies. All right. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got here.
Well, it all started about 87. It's all started, and decided I'd get out of school and what I wanted to do, and I always wanted to be something in ag. And I was farming, doing some part-time farming, doing some row cropping, and on rented land, and in the Pace area. So those of y'all that wouldn't know, it's south of here. It's a very urban area that is really growing. And was on leased land and just started losing our land. And I said, I want to be in agriculture. What can I do to stay in ag? So I knew I was going to do it on a small acreage.
Right.
Greenhouses always piqued my interest. And we did a little research. Some friends of ours had a greenhouse operation, and I bought my first used greenhouse in around 1990, right when I graduated, and was starting to grow poinsettias then. And I grew some hanging baskets, some flowers for the landscape trade and retailers, and it's just evolved over time. We built another greenhouse year after year. Well, in that process, I had I was in and out of school. I was one of these young people that, I'm going to get a degree, but I want to work for myself. What good's a degree going to do me?
Right, right.
And as I look back over the years, I really feel that really elevated me to a level of understanding about plant science and botany and a lot of things that happen in the physics of a plant that I would have never known just by growing plants. I probably would have learned it over time.
Right.
The education component for me really helped speed up the knowledge process. It's where I could apply it in real world. And over the years, we've just sort of grown, and our crops have evolved. There's a few crops that have stuck with us, but as we have grown over the years, we've specialized, and we've focused in on maybe 2 or 3, 4 crops versus having a crop mix of 20, 30 things that the average wholesale nursery might deal with. So right now we focus on poinsettias, flowering potted plants, Easter lilies, and we also have our transplant business, which is basically a commercial transplant operation that supplies farms within a couple hundred miles of here.
So for the kids that might not know, or even the adults that might not know, when you're talking about that, you're talking about basically a farmer is going to grow, we'll say, watermelons, so he will send you the seed and say, hey, you get the plant started, because that's a pretty hard part. Right. And it has to be done in a time where the local environment might not support that kind of growth. Right. I mean, he's working on a timeline, so he sends you the seed, you get them up to a little plant, and then you send them to him, and he will actually take them from there and transplant them or plant them into the soil in the field. Correct. And then next thing you know, he has a watermelon.
And every farm is different depending on their market, depending on what market or what time of the year they're trying to hit that window of marketing. So most seeds and most plants they have a button. Once you push the button to go, there's a maturity date. So each farmer, whether it's tomatoes, watermelons, cantaloupes, peppers, based on the variety of that timing, they say, I want my plants this day because I know I need so many days in the field before harvest. And we try to hit those windows. Now we miss them, within a few days, depending on the weekly weather forecast. We may shoot for, let's say, March 15th, and the week is snowing and freezing. So we might hold them back a few days, but our schedule depends on the farmer picking a good date and going with it.
I got you. So you talked about you did a little bit of row crop farming and stuff like that. earlier in life. Is this when you went to school? Did you just immediately go to school to work on a plant science degree, or what? What schooling do you have, or have you always been in this direction, or have you done other
So,
things along the way, or what?
My grandfather and my dad always vegetable farmed, and that's another component of what we do. We have a retail market, and we grow about 30 acres of vegetables that support that market, as well as some other small chains around the area that we wholesale our produce to. But in the greenhouse, I mean, basically what we come up with was, as we did it over time, we realized, we focused in on, number one, what was the most profitable for us, because we deal with high value crops, and there's a lot goes into the timing of those crops. So as my schooling evolved through the classes, I realized there was certain aspects of this industry that piqued my interest. One of those things was, seed germination or liner plants or small plants. What I liked about it is there's just something about a seed, watching it come up and grow.
Right.
But I like the transplant side of things because it's 5 weeks, sometimes 4, and that crop's over. It's 4 weeks of high intensity, watching it, caring for it, spraying it, watering it, fertilizing it, but then it's over, and then it starts again. Some of the crops we grow, like a poinsettia, we start in August to December, so it's a 16, 18-week crop. And, sometimes it just, man, I'm tired of looking at poinsettias, and then when it starts to selling time, everybody's like, oh man, you must be in the Christmas spirit. Well, I've been in the Christmas spirit since August.
Right.
So, but I've just learned and adapted. It's just one of them things, I know, as you interview farmers and talk about, that it's just sort of in your blood. It's just
That's right.
It's an itch that you can't ever get scratched, because it's always something. And there's never one crop the same. And we had mentioned off camera about, you get in life, you're going to have so many crops you grow.
That's right.
None of them crops, none of them environments, none of them seasons are going to be exactly the same. So with the knowledge and education as well, coupled with the experience, you find out you're constantly evolving, constantly adapting, and about the time you get it fixed, there's a new variety that comes.
That's right.
There's always something new. So it's an exciting industry. I enjoy it. I live here on my farm. My family's involved. I get to work with my dad every day. I get to see my wife and my kids every day. They help here, and it's just we are a family farm, and
That's right.
That's something that, as you look at a career, there's not a lot of people that can couple family with career. This is my job. This is our life. So, and it's just a blessing.
So, speaking about careers, when you look at a nursery type situation like this, can you think, I know I'm putting you on the spot, can you think of other careers, like if somebody couldn't own this, if they couldn't be the actual owner, what other occupations, are tied to this? Do you have anybody that comes in here on a regular basis, or anybody that you ask questions to? I mean, what other occupations might there be if you can't actually, say, have the land to put something like this on, or have the money to get it started? I mean, how could somebody be tied to the nursery type business?
If you're not going to be an entrepreneur, and it's not something that you're going to have a business doing, there's still a lot of careers. There's a lot of growers like myself, a lot of larger operations that are looking for someone to do what I do that can take the place or take the load off of that owner. And for example, we're standing in a big greenhouse here, and in larger operations, they have sections. They have what they call a section grower, and then a range grower, and then a head grower. So you would be supervising 4 or 5 people that's just doing nothing but growing crops. And a lot of the bigger operations, they have someone that does nothing but the marketing, does nothing but the spraying, does nothing but make sure the pot line, does nothing but making sure that the orders are getting planted weekly. And then there's people that like the plant side of things that are growers, that they're just out caring for the plant. So there's always a need for that. If that's something someone wants to do, my first thing, what I would suggest, find a school that offers 4-year, even the master's degree program, and a school that is near the industry, that you could have real world experience coupled with an education. Because a lot of times we see great institutions that have great programs, but when someone graduates, they're removed still from the industry.
Right.
So when I got my degree, I got a degree in environmental horticulture. I was fortunate enough to have some very good professors that had real world experience. And there are some great professors in the education system that doesn't necessarily have the real world experience. So when someone comes out, it's almost like they've got this degree, but they're starting over. And so my advice to someone would be seek out those institutions, even if it's a technical trade school, a good school that has a good horticulture program coupled with an industry that support that program, to where, hey, we'll support this program because we know when we got someone that we can hire.
So is environmental horticulture, would that be the degree that you would send them toward, or are there other degrees maybe now?
There's
or
a lot of, I mean,
for this type of
as
business?
a degree, there is ornamental horticulture, environmental horticulture, a good agronomy degree. You wouldn't think agronomy in a greenhouse, but it gives you a basic understanding of plant growth. And there is some floriculture degrees. I know UF, I don't like to call, but you got UF, Gainesville, you've got Auburn, NC State, just in the southeast, that they are known for ag, floriculture. And if the greenhouse appeals to someone, that's where they should seek out an education. There's some great community colleges that have great programs. I'm not going to discount those at all.
Right.
Because when it comes down to an employer, whether you have a bachelor's degree or a 2-year degree, if there's some real world experience there, there's most greenhouse growers are needing that experience. It's always what I say is the degree gets you in the door, but your experience gets you the job.
What would you say, as we're getting close to wrapping up here, I always ask this of the people I've been interviewing, what would you say a average week looks like for you? I know some jobs are inside a lot, some are outside a lot, but what does that kind of look like in your case?
Every day is a little different.
Right.
It's like I can leave the office here 5 o'clock, sometimes a little after dark, and I know, okay, this is what I got to do tomorrow. And then the entrepreneur, I go home and I eat and I sit on the couch and I think about everything I've got to do. Well, the next morning, that list totally changes. Then it could change with a busted pipe, or something happened to a controller. Right. You never know what you're going to get. And the beauty of that is you never do the same job every day.
It's not monotonous.
It's not like you're filling pots, putting them on the floor every day. It's always something. There's those times that you just are walking through the greenhouse making sure that irrigation's going. There's those times that you're in the office crunching numbers, doing book work, accounts receivables, accounts payables. It's as you know, you're doing everything. If you're a farmer, you're your bookkeeper, you're accounting, you're the banker sometimes,
logistics,
and you're the mechanic.
Yep. What I'm sure it's very bright. I just want to get your take on it. What does the future of this industry look like to you?
I'll tell you that I think the future is bright. I had a friend of mine, and I'll leave this with a little joke, but a friend of mine that sold hair care products. And he said, William, there's 3 things that people are going to do in a depression, in a recession, in a great economy. They're going to get their hair cut. They're going to eat.
No doubt.
And they're going to have a flower. They're going to have something that's aesthetically for their house, for their backyard, for something. Mm-hmm. He said, so the future's bright.
There you go. I think it is bright. What about and this would be very difficult because you're a business owner, but the people, you know, let's break it down. What if you hired somebody straight out of school that was maybe going to college or whatever to work on your nursery or on your farm? What type of starting pay would that be? And I know it just goes crazy high from there, but what kind of?
I think it ranges, and there's different jobs, but when you're looking at someone that's a grower, that's a confident grower, I think that, you know, with a 4-year degree, I think it's easy that you could see entry level, 35 to 40,000.
Right.
In other markets, it could be more.
Right.
And it could be maybe slight less. But I know a good experienced, someone that's got the science experience, the growing experience, they understand greenhouses. You know, it could go way up above that.
Right, so, absolutely. All right, anything else you'd like to tell them?
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey,
and,
thank you so much.
Right,
awesome place here. Thank you so much for having us.
All right.